What makes a good person? Is it their willingness to work hard and fulfill their responsibilities? Or maybe it's their capabilities to protect the interest of those outside of themselves? Or maybe it's just honesty and general goodwill? Now, imagine all these normally commendable behaviors are tacked to an otherwise twisted, remorseless human being. The world of Breaking Bad is home to some of the most interesting, morally gray characters that often challenge our perception of morality. Enter Todd Alquist. Although fan favorites like Walter White, Gus Fring, and Saul Goodman are well deserving of all the analysis videos made about them, they aren't everything the series has to offer. Despite being a secondary antagonist that only appeared in the last season and El Camino, Todd's eccentric, twisted morality, or lack thereof, stood out even among the rest of the cast. What sets Todd apart from the other criminals and murderers normally depicted in fiction? In this video, I'm going to take a look at Todd's relationship and bond with Jesse Pinkman and what it tells us about his character. At first glance, Todd seems to be unassuming and polite. This demeanor, while some may perceive it as a front or a carefully concocted persona, is not exactly a lie. Despite the heartless, cruel acts he is perfectly capable of committing, he is a genuinely friendly, well-mannered person. While it is true that he is for the most part unbothered when he shoots an innocent, underage child in cold blood, he never seems to take any pleasure nor have any personal desire to inflict pain upon others. This kind of characterization is uncommon for a criminal like Todd. While we've seen multiple villains in cinema and fiction exhibit amicable behaviors, they're usually part of a deliberate mask meant to lure others before they reveal their actual, more sadistic personality. Furthermore, these types of characters are normally motivated by something generally seen as immoral, such as greed, vengeance, or even a twisted sense of justice. The fact that none of these things apply to Todd is one of the reasons why his writing is so compelling. Todd, while obviously not against making quite a bit of dough from his criminal activities, isn't as money-driven as pretty much every other character we see on the show. He also doesn't seem to carry any malice or personal feelings, be it hatred or compassion, in doing his job. More than anything, what seems to motivate him the most is the approval of someone he perceives as a figure of authority. As weird as that sounds for someone who predominantly works outside of the law, we see Todd constantly seek the approval of Walter, calling him Mr. White and always giving him a great deal of respect. Todd always tries his best to do the job he's given to the best of his abilities, regardless of what that job asks of him. To this end, Todd does everything in his power to make his employers happy. This is clearly shown right after he successfully shot Drew Sharp in cold blood. Despite not feeling any kind of real remorse for his cruel and ruthless act, he soon feels some form of frustration as soon as his employers, in this case Walter and Jesse, show their discontent over his actions. This twisted sense of professionality makes up the foundation of who Todd is as a character. In directing Jesse Plemons, the actor who plays Todd, Breaking Bad creator Vince Gilligan gave him a very specific metaphor to assist him in approaching the character. Vince mentioned that playing Todd is like choosing to run over a raccoon because there's another car on one side of the road and a ditch on the other. This lets us understand better how Todd sees the actions that he committed. He didn't particularly want to kill the raccoon, but it was the easiest and the most practical decision presented to him by his own judgments. Shooting Drew Sharp, killing his housekeeper Sonia and Jesse's girlfriend Andrea, keeping Jesse as a prisoner and forcing him to cook meth while under physical torture are all just raccoons that Todd needed to run over so that his duty does not get compromised. Todd doesn't hate the raccoons he killed. He might have even liked some of them. Despite hurting Jesse physically, Todd always talked to Jesse as if he was a friend. Looking into their unique and deranged one-sided friendship will allow us to understand Todd's character as well as the parallels he shares with Jesse. Just like how Gus is meant to be Walter's foil, Todd is meant to be Jesse's. They are both young men who have no problems breaking the law, put in a subordinate position to their more competent counterparts, Uncle Jack and Walter White respectively. Furthermore, they both are the opposite of what they first seem. Jesse, though first appears as a rebellious problem student who dropped out of high school, hides behind his rough exterior a gentle and caring heart. He enjoys the company of his loved ones and has a genuine care for them. Todd's strong sense of duty and strict adherence to his employer's goals, on the other hand, is a surface-level exterior that contains within it a cold-blooded criminal who will resort to murder without thinking twice. Put side by side, the two are alike, while still being polar opposites to one another. Furthermore, the comparison between them does not end there. Regardless of all the things Todd is capable of, he does it with a twisted sense of goodwill. Although he absolutely does not see what he's doing as some sort of justice, he does what he can to please his teammates and colleagues. He's a hard worker that is determined to reach his goals, no matter what the cost may be. An example of this would be when he genuinely tries to do his best to increase the purity level of his meth. Knowing Walter is giving his all to teach him, Todd does not want to let him down. Multiple times throughout the series, Todd shows genuine efforts to do his best with the job that he's been given. His desensitization to violence and his skewed sense of morality might be due to the result of early exposure to criminal activities. If we were to imagine Todd in a normal, straightforward work environment, we can quickly imagine him to be an outstanding employee that continuously learns and improves for the sake of the company. Putting it this way, we can see how society, given the right circumstances, might label Todd as a good person despite his true nature. Jesse, on the other hand, seemingly does things for selfish reasons on the surface. He isn't very ambitious and simply wanted to make easy money selling drugs. However, his roots betray him when push comes to shove. Coming from a fairly normal nuclear family living in a suburban neighborhood, Jesse couldn't bring himself to do anything sadistic or cruel without having a serious emotional reaction over it. He can't deny the fact that at the end of the day, he does care and feel a lot. Throughout the series, we see him grow into someone who does his best to look out for those who rely on him. Despite all this, he remains a high school dropout that comes off as uneducated and lazy. Seen through this light, we can see how, given the right circumstances, Jesse can be labeled as a bad person despite his kind nature. This parallel between them might explain Todd's attitude towards Jesse. Although Todd definitely wouldn't be sad if Jesse were to die, he sees no reason to treat Jesse any worse than he needed to. Todd saw him as useful. That's about it. He didn't hate nor love Jesse. Jesse was simply there, and when he was about to be killed, Todd simply saw that they could still do something with him, so letting him die would be a waste. This kind of thinking would be unthinkable for Jesse if their roles were reversed. The Todd and Jesse parallel showcases how morality is constantly in flux in accordance with the context. Todd's character shows us that even the most deranged of individuals can carry within them a widely accepted good trait of personality and how dangerous such a thing would be. His character also shows us how much environment can play a part in shaping a person's entire moral core, twisting and turning them into something entirely deranged and incomprehensible. Breaking Bad once again reminds us that human beings truly are complicated, and that maybe how we appear to society isn't the best kind of representation of who we truly are.